Welcome everybody to another episode of the NXT party. I am, of course, the Rated R reviewer, Stephen Osborne, joined as always by the General, Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, wrestling fans.
And this is going to be a three-part episode this evening because we missed last week in the review, and that was 2 episodes there, and then we have, of course, 2 episodes this week to review, and we're going to do each of those separately. So we're doing a different format. We have not actually watched the 2 episodes of NXT for tonight. Right now, I'm going to recap. I'm not going to review. I'm going to recap last week's 2 episodes of NXT to catch up the General. And for if there's any of the public out there that actually watch us only and not NXT UK, first of all, bless you. But second of all, if you think we're entertaining, you really should watch NXT UK.
Yeah.
Because there's often times where it gets a little boring or monotonous, but like any other wrestling. But for the most part, it's pretty good TV.
I was about to say, you haven't really, they're just now really establishing storylines and rivalries and whatnot. It's still a relatively new company. We're not even 20 episodes in yet. So, yeah, you gotta bear with it, and you're also getting to see these stars maybe for the first time, or if you've already seen them in the UK tournament or whatnot.
And also, for right now, it's 2 episodes a week, which seems like way too much, especially when we review them.
Mm-hmm.
But if we could just plow through these few more weeks, hopefully it's just a few more, where there's 2 episodes a week, and get to a single hour of NXT UK every Wednesday.
That so weirds me out, the fact that we get 2 hours of NXT UK, but not 2 hours of NXT.
Well, eventually we're going to get 1 hour of NXT UK. It's just they have such a backlog that if they did that, we would never catch up to present time.
That's true.
That's all they're trying to do right now is play catch up. Once they have caught up and we're back down to an hour, I feel like it will be like, trudging through and earning our spot doing our 1 hour NXT party.
Woohoo!
But this is probably going to end up being a 2-hour video. I can tell you right now. I haven't even watched the shows. I know a few of the matches that are going to happen. But as far as the next 2 episodes of NXT UK, we are going to watch episode, 15? No, 17.
Yep.
Episode 17, and then we're going to record the review before we watch 18, and then we're going to watch 18, and then we're going to record the review for that. And then, per Boss Man's order, I'm going to take all 3 videos and put them into one 2-hour-long block
Of us sitting here talking.
Yeah, and I really apologize for that. I really wish I could make this 3 separate episodes, but it is what it is. And I will try and, like I said, I'm not reviewing the last 2 episodes, episode 15 and 16. I'm just going to recap them. So, episode 15, we start off the show. Flash Morgan Webster gets an upset, I feel like it's an upset victory against Fabian Eichner. Mandrews comes out during the match, and he keeps Eichner from doing the knee to the face against the steps. And Eichner goes in to do his finishing move, which I assume was going to be the spinning power bomb. And Flash Morgan reverses that into a jackknife roll-up, and he gets the pinfall.
Mm-hmm.
We follow that up with an interview from Radzi with Amir Jordan, and basically he's letting us know that him and Kenny Williams are going to have a match with Gibson and Drake. Zach Gibson and James Drake. So that's coming up, I think, later on in the show, actually.
I want to say so far that's going to be my pick for the NXT UK tag titles is going to be
Gibson and Drake?
Gibson and Drake.
I'm all for that. If it means putting a title belt on Gibson and making him even more
hated
as a heel, absolutely. He's a great heel right now, and I'm backing that idea. So next we had Joe Coffey was backstage with Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, and we see here the split of the tag team and the single star going for gold in NXT UK in the trio of Gallus, and it's not what you would think. It's not the Coffey brothers and Wolfgang going after the title. It is Wolfgang and Mark Coffey as the tag team going for the tag titles, and Joe Coffey as the single star.
I can actually kind of see how they're doing that, because Joe Coffey has become more or less the mouthpiece of the Gallus. So, but at the same time, yeah, you have a pair of brothers. It's almost tales the whole time. The Hardys, the Briscoes, all of them. You've always had those two together. But
Maybe they're trying to make a statement by that, saying that just because we're brothers and we're wrestlers doesn't mean we're automatically a tag team. But there's better ways to tell that story, and I think it's more confusing at this point than it is enlightening.
yeah,
So,
kind of like Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas.
you know what? They did a really good job keeping them separated.
Oh yes, they did.
And everybody wishes that they'd put them together to give Bo Dallas something to do.
Well,
that's
they
not
actually,
the B team.
Well, they actually just did wrestle together back in NXT, or actually Florida Championship Wrestling.
That's awesome. Moving on.
Yep.
We get a match with Killer Kelly and Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn wins. She wins with her finisher, which is okay. So it's half vertical, half gut wrench suplex into a a jackhammer.
Yeah.
And she wins against Killer Kelly, and then Radzi is interviewing her in the ring, and this is basically where she challenges Rhea Ripley to the championship, the new NXT Women's Championship, NXT UK. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And Rhea Ripley actually comes out, and we don't really get a payoff here. I think Rhea Ripley begs off a little bit, but eventually we will. Next up, we have I think this is an earlier video recap of an interview that they did with Dave Mastiff, because this sets up the match next episode between Mastiff and Eddie Dennis. And next we have a match, the tag team match that was alluded to earlier by Amir Jordan. We had James Drake and Zach Gibson versus Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan. Zach Gibson and James Drake win with an awesome looking tag team move. So Drake brings up one of them. It was either Williams or Jordan, I can't remember who, but he brings him up like out of a tombstone, let's say, brings him up for a face buster, but Gibson catches him with a code breaker.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking sweet.
They did that like that last time they teamed up too, because Noah was on the show with us, I think, for that night.
So next up, we get a notification for the next episode is going to be the match that I said a vignette or two ago, Dave Mastiff versus Eddie Dennis. That'll be the main event for the next episode. And the main event of this episode was Joe Coffey with Mark Coffey and Wolfgang at ringside with him versus Trent Seven, who had Tyler Bate ringside with him. And Joe Coffey wins. This was a great match. I didn't actually make any notes from it. I know that there was a lot of near falls and counters, and I enjoyed watching it. But at that point, I think I was really tired that night.
I was about to say that's usually a surefire sign for a great match too. If you really don't have a lot of notes for it, because you're not looking meticulously for it, you're just in the match. So I can see that being the case.
So that ends episode 15. Episode 16 starts with a tag match, Ashton Smith and Ligero versus Mark Coffey and Wolfgang. And they tell the story. They're building up Gallus. Mark Coffey and Wolfgang win this match. I think Coffey hit him with this rolling crescent kick or something like that. Just a kick by himself, not a tag team move, which doesn't really help the idea that maybe him and his brother should be a tag team. They probably have a tag team move. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off base. Maybe they've never been a tag team.
Percolator.
The Percolator. Great name for a tag team finisher for those two. Okay, so then we get a recap from the last episode of Isla Dawn calling out Rhea Ripley. Because this episode we're going to get, or actually I think it's next episode. So the one that we review first tonight, on the episode that you are watching, friends, will be Rhea Ripley versus Isla Dawn for the NXT UK Women's Championship. And then we have backstage, we've got Johnny Saint and Sid Scala with Rhea and Isla. This is where they make the match. And then Radzi interviews Gallus after the victory. And basically Joe Coffey challenges Pete Dunne. So we're looking at him probably being the next #1 contender for the UK Championship. Now, finally a match. Okay, so we've got Jack Stars, the Jobber Jack, coming out to face Joseph Connors, who has awesome ring entrance music.
Mm-hmm.
Does not excuse his wardrobe though, because he's in the same
he's in
red
and yellow
and sparkly gold.
Ooh.
Yeah, he wore it again. Probably he recorded this the same day he wore it the last time. So what did you expect? But I'm just not a fan of it. Just like I wasn't a fan of Ligero's first mask.
Oh, the Union Jack.
It was too much Union Jack going on. You made your point, Jack. So,
we get Premier England.
Connors wins with that sunset flip bomb that he does into the turnbuckle and then the cradle flatliner. And then we get an interview with Xia Brookside backstage because she's about to have a match. And she gets interrupted during the interview by Jenny, who doesn't really say anything. She just walks in and stops the conversation and looks, I guess, smugly at her, and then walks away. And then before we get that match, though, we have a video package. Tyson T-Bone basically just announcing that he is going to pair up and enter the fray for the possible maybe tournament. Maybe it'll just be a fatal four-way. Maybe it'll just be two teams that are selected. But he's going to now team with Saxon Huxley and try to become the first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champions. Then we get the match with Jenny and Xia Brookside. Jenny wins this. She's got a few cool little moves here. The Fashion Disaster, which is like the flatliner into the turnbuckle that Seth Rollins does a lot.
Awesome.
And then her finisher is she calls the Touch of Couture, which is a ripcord into a scorpion kick. And I thought that was really cool. She delivers a scorpion kick much like Dakota Kai does. Very effective. So next up we have a video package for Dave Mastiff.
Because everyone gets a video package.
Well, tonight the main event is Dave Mastiff versus Eddie Dennis. So we're going to get now a video package for Eddie Dennis. And that is the sandwich where the meat happens to be an in-ring promo by Zach Gibson with James Drake by his side. And they're going to be the next tag team champ or the first tag team champs, whatever. I have no notes for that. It's just an interview.
Mm-hmm.
Or not even an interview, just an in-ring
promo. Yeah.
Finally, we get Dave Mastiff versus Eddie Dennis. This match did not go anywhere that I thought. I thought surely they'd make Eddie Dennis go over in this match because it helps him look good to beat a guy like Dave Mastiff, and you can't make Dave Mastiff look weak at all with this loss. But no, Dave Mastiff wins. He gets that German suplex he does into the corner, followed by the running cannonball, pulls him into the middle of the ring and pins him. And yeah, now what with Eddie Dennis? Like suddenly I don't care, which is sad. I'm not going to rate either of those main events. I was not a fan of either one of them. Like I said, the Joe Coffey and the Trent Seven match was good, but honestly, I didn't make any notes because as good as it was, I wasn't engaged by it. I was more tired than I was entertained, I guess. So that is episode 15 and 16 of NXT UK. Mm-hmm. And just to recap, we're going to move on to reviewing the next two episodes, and we're going to go ahead and get started watching those. So thank you for joining us for the recap. And of course, I am Stephen Osborne, Jerry Slaughter, and thanks for having a cup of NXT with us. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of NXT Party. I am, of course, the Rated R reviewer, Stephen Osborne, joined as always by the General, Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
And tonight we're here to review NXT UK episode number 17. And what a way to start an episode.
Yep, the perfect way. We start off tonight with Mr. Jordan Devlin.
Jordan Devlin, who is... Let's just say single defeat by the champ. Otherwise, he's undefeated.
Yes.
So I say they're pushing him fairly heavily.
And yeah, you'll never seemingly get a bad match out of Jordan Devlin. This guy's just, he's brash, he's cocky, he's arrogant, but at the same time, he's backed it up very, very well. So
now tried to make a bet with you before we watched this match. I said $5 says that we see him do a Uranagi into a standing moonsault.
I need my Taco Bell money. I wasn't gonna
And
make
you,
that bet.
sir, should have taken that bet. I don't believe we saw that move.
Yeah, we did.
We
did, but he missed the moonsault.
Okay. So I wasn't crazy. Yeah. That was a good bet, and so I guess we saw it. Just we didn't see it completed. It was a fairly good match. I've got several notes, but I guess obviously I didn't remember the whole match.
It was. I think at that point you had to have your head turned. But yeah, that's when Mike Hitchman actually started getting a little more offense in. He got the spear in the corner and all this other stuff going on. But at the same time, that's when he missed the cannonball senton thing he does.
Yeah, Mike Hitchman, the most credible looking of the jobbers.
I miss his mask. He's only worn it like one time.
Well, other than Tyson T-Bone looks like he should be a guy that's winning, but he just has no charisma or style in the ring, really. He's, as you like to call him, very meat and potatoes. He's the definition of meat and potatoes. But he's definitely a jobber because he's lost basically every match. And in this case, I think Mike Hitchman has lost several. I think he might have won one match to build him up just a little bit for a loss to, it might have even been Jordan Devlin. I just don't remember 17 episodes ago.
I haven't seen Wild Boar, I don't think, win a match. Like he's been in a lot of great matches, but I don't think I've seen him win one. And this one was no different.
Yeah, he's super credible though.
Yeah.
But yeah, jobber nonetheless. He hits this pop-up power bomb, and then goes for that running senton. It's like a senton cannonball.
Yeah.
They called it an inverted cannonball, but he misses. And this is where Devlin does that pull-up, that deadlift pull-up into a
backdrop driver.
And finishes it with a spot of contention for me.
Yes.
They call it, as usual, his finishing move, the Ireland's Call. And it's the same setup, the Fireman's Carry, but instead of finishing it with his sidewalk Michinoku driver, he swings it into an angle slam.
Kind of like a cradle angle slam, I think, because like he actually like walls him up a little bit more on his shoulders. But
yeah.
It looks a lot flashier, but it also looks a lot quicker too.
I don't think it looks flashier at all. I think it makes it look like an Olympic slam, and his original move was much more original looking.
Yeah, I think with that also came like a lot more risk with that move too, because like somebody lands wrong with that, there's a lot more protection.
Then don't slightly change the move, create a different finisher.
Yeah,
if that's the problem. I don't like the fact that he's now doing an angle slam.
But
because that's what it was to me. It was an angle slam. I'm surprised he didn't follow it up with a friggin' ankle lock.
We'll touch on this real quick though, because I thought this was great. Is the fact that he's actually like Jordan Devlin's actually getting mad about the whole. It's like getting asked, what was it like training under Finn Balor, and that's just. I want to see this happen. I want to see a match between the two. I want to see Finn Balor show up on NXT UK. There, said it.
If that happens, I will be okay with it as long as we see the Demon Balor. I don't want to see the smiley geeky boy.
Yeah.
I want to see Demon Balor come out and put Devlin in his place.
Or he actually loses the match as the geeky one. And
yeah, if he's got to lose it, then let him be Geek Balor.
Yeah.
Balor Club Balor, but if he's gonna win, definitely make it the Demon. That would be
but I'm saying just like have him come out like looking all geeky and polished and everything, and Devlin pretty much just cutting into him, and then sure enough the demon appears.
Well, speaking of cutting into him, Jordan Devlin cuts a post-match promo, and basically blah blah blah. I'm the best. A bet on Jordan Devlin is not a gamble, because the ace trumps all. And again, my response to this is no, the Joker trumps all. But that's just me, because there are instances where like 3 kings will beat 2 aces.
Yeah.
So aces don't necessarily trump all in certain situations, but the fact that a Joker is wild is my thing. Anyway, I just say that because he compared, who was it? Flash Morgan Webster, maybe?
To the Joker.
To the Joker. And I'm sitting here like, that's a terrible comparison. Because when you're actually talking about, most card games, if you've got the Joker, that's a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, after that we get an interview on the street. On the sidewalk, obviously, not in the street, but with Mustache Mountain. And
very laid back interview.
Yeah.
That's I'll say that about them. I'm not
you said some other things about them. What about Trent Seven's attire?
I asked if Trent Seven's attire is just getting worse by the week, or is it just my imagination? He told me it's just the fact he's British, he can get away with it.
Yeah, they're over there in the UK. You can wear ugly clothes because then you can just claim you're a tourist.
But I'll
Do
say
your best Canadian or American accent.
I'll say this: I'm still not a big fan of Trent Seven's in-ring performances. I'm not. I'm really not. It's him, the whole Mustache Mountain team. It's still taking me a while to warm up to him.
Trent Seven is unique and basic all at the same time. It's so weird.
But he cuts awesome promos, is the thing.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the mouthpiece to where what was his name?
He's the aged liaison
Yeah.
to the very, very young Tyler Bate. I want to call him Greed, but he doesn't wrestle like he's Greed. Tyler Bate is great. He's just, to me, he's a little cocky for a babyface.
Yeah.
He does his babyface character doesn't make sense just enough that I'm like, eh.
He does come off very heelish. Like if they do split up, that'd be the route that they would go. So
speaking of heelish, later on tonight we're gonna have the main event, and the main event is gonna be the women's championship match, and Isla Dawn. How is she not a heel? I know I'm getting out of order here, but you brought up this, and I'm like, how is Isla Dawn not a heel? She wrestles like a heel. So her music and her entrance are like a heel. Her promo is like a heel, except it uses babyface terminology. Anyway,
she's kind of neutral in that manner. The fact that she could go either way for any match. She could be a heel or she could be a face, which makes her pretty easily promotable, and also keeps her in the minds of people.
I think they're just waiting to turn her heel. But anyway, back to Mustache Mountain. Basically, tonight they've got a match with Tyson T-Bone and Saxon Huxley, who are jobbers respectively. And jobbers aren't like negative numbers. You don't multiply them together and get a positive here. Just a jobber team is what you get.
Two negatives do not make a positive in this point.
So that's tonight. But soon they will be dealing with Gallus and getting them out of the way so that they can go after the tag team championships when they are finally decided, or when the match or tournament or whatever's going to happen is finally decided. I would say pretty basic promo considering their position. But after that we've got Radzi talking to Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews.
More of the same there, just them teaming up to go after the tag team championship because they're the two most exciting athletes in the company.
And they will be apparently wrestling Zach Gibson and James Drake. My guess is next episode.
Yep.
Episode 18. We haven't watched that yet, but that is my guess. I don't even think we got an official announcement for that.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yes.
Yes, we did later. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even watch an extra episode. I'm already forgetting things. I apologize. I'm sorry. Next, though, we have a match. Fabian Eichner comes out, and since he's the first one out,
he's already a favorite of mine.
Oh, absolutely.
So far, he's been my one to watch, short of Eddie Dennis. But Fabian Eichner just kind of popped up out of nowhere.
Right, out of nowhere.
And he's been awesome. He's got awesome theme music. He's got awesome attire. He's got awesome set of ring moves. He's got everything going for him at this point.
He's suffered a loss, but come back from it. And spoiler, he came back from it. I was hoping that we would get an all-and-out jobber here.
Yeah.
Problem was, we got a hometown hero. This guy was from Plymouth,
Yep.
but the look of the guy didn't look like no jobber to me.
No.
Aesthetically, even.
And like, as much as I wanted to say I didn't like the guy, his name rhymes, so I automatically had to.
Eddie Ryan?
Yes. He was the English Lion,
Oh,
Eddie
there you
Ryan.
go. The English Lion. He comes out with a cape and this lion mask.
Which
and
looks more like a tiger mask.
just flourish because, of course, he's the hometown hero, so the crowd's chanting, Eddie, Eddie, Eddie.
That Eddie's just a fun chant. It's almost like Jerry. Jerry, Jerry, Jerry.
Yeah. Oh, if you ever got on stage, I'm sure you would get the Jerry chant.
I get that at work.
Nice. I never get to see that. We work in different areas.
Yeah.
But anyway, Fabian Eichner versus Eddie Ryan. And I have no notes of this match until the end. Very basic. Eichner's another one. Very meat and potatoes. He does a few things like, I think he turned the match around in his favor to basically end it. I mean, it took another couple minutes, but so Eddie Ryan playing up to the crowd. He's got Eichner on the outside, and he's going to go for a diving suicide dive. And he doesn't make it even to the ropes. As soon as he comes off the other ropes, there's Eichner in the middle of the ring to grab him for a tilt-a-whirl slam,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool to see out of a guy the size of Eichner.
Yep.
Even though he is formerly under 205.
Yep.
And formerly...
He went from 205 for the Cruiserweight tournament back up to 220. He gained 15 pounds, got back into the heavyweight division.
So he wins with this running knee into the steps, of course, on the outside. That's kind of become his staple. And throws him back in the ring. And he's changed up his spinning power bomb.
Yes. It's something even more devastating, really, I think.
It looked great. He spins him around for a full 360, and then he pulls him up into...
the last ride.
Yeah, last ride. Looked great.
Yep.
He looks great. He got his win back. I think he's 3-1 now.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe 2-1, but I think it's 3-1. I'm looking forward to a long-term feud for him, or maybe a new tag team partner to get into the mix for the tag team titles.
Yeah.
Although I think maybe you save a few singles wrestlers out of that, because they seem to be pairing off just about everybody.
That's the thing. He's not credible enough that I think he should give a match against Pete Dunne. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do with him just yet, but I'm interested to see where he goes from here.
Well, up next we get a video package for Travis Banks, including kind of a promo into the package by him. I don't know if it was interview style or what, but he's talking about the Gallus.
Yep.
And first, he took out Wolfgang because he did win that match. That was his return / debut / whatever. But he won even with the help from I think it was Trent Seven that tripped up Wolfgang.
Yep.
Now he's looking to take out Joe Coffey. So this seems like Joe Coffey's final step in his ascent into the title picture. I think after Joe Coffey beats what's this guy's name?
Travis Banks.
Yeah, Travis Banks. I'm sorry. He's fairly new to me, so I've already forgotten his name. Once he beats Travis Banks, then we'll see him versus Pete Dunne.
I really like this promo for a couple of reasons. One, we got more insight on Travis Banks. I really don't know a lot about the guy. Cindy was hyping him like crazy on the show that she was on with us, and I didn't know anything because all I'd seen of Travis Banks was him lying on the floor after getting beaten up by the Coffeys. So, like, he basically talks about how Joe's already looking at Pete Dunne and looking past Travis Banks. And Travis says a line that's going to stick with me for a while now, and that's, your oversight will be your downfall. And I thought that was just, the way he said the line was just brilliant, and it stuck with me. And I can't wait to see that match now. Like that line alone, I was like, oh man, that's Joe Coffey done screwed up. So
Well, maybe. I think Joe Coffey's
oh,
gonna
Joe
win that
Coffey's
match.
gonna win. Don't get me wrong, but it's gonna be a great match.
Well, speaking of storylines and feuds that Gallus is a part of, because they seem to be the one constant in everything on this show.
It's their kingdom.
Everybody is feuding with Gallus. Mustache Mountain has their match with Tyson T-Bone and Saxon Huxley. Who do you think's gonna win?
I don't care if they did come out together and had their names up on the screen. I pretty much had Mustache Mountain already pegged to win this match.
It was pretty obvious. The first note that I've got here is Tyson T-Bone hits this KO punch. I mean, just the look and the wind up and everything right into this huge hook. And basically knocks out Trent Seven.
Yep.
And even commentary makes a big deal about this. Like, why is he not going for
Nigel's
the pin?
like, pin him.
He ends up setting him up in the corner and does this just wicked-looking face wash into a seated Trent Seven. Then he goes for the pin and he doesn't get it. He gets the near fall.
If anything, the face wash probably woke him up.
Yeah, because Trent Seven eventually, I think he does a snapdragon towards the heel corner, and that gives him space to get the hot tag. And then Tyler Bate comes in and takes the match. Basically, I mean, he comes in like a bat out of hell.
Mm-hmm.
Exploder and running shooting star got a near fall, and eventually they get one of the guys out of there. And I think it was it Huxley that took the pinfall?
Yep. Like I called.
We get the tag team move. So they had set up previously, obviously, that Trent Seven does the Snapdragon.
Yeah.
So he sets up for a Snapdragon, and Tyler Bate comes off the ropes with what we like to call the Peter Pan.
Yep.
The spring off the ropes using his shoulders into the clothesline, and Trent Seven follows through with the Snapdragon, and that's the tag team finisher.
Yeah, pretty much. Bate had done a suicide dive to the outside to eliminate Tyson T-Bone, and then he went back in the ring, and that's when they took care of that because his Tyler Driver 85 got
97.
97 got 85.
85. That's the year I was born.
I was about to say Tiger Driver 85 is a completely different move, but actually the same move, but just different name.
Different name.
But yeah, he got that reversed, but that led to tag to Trent Seven, and sure enough, that's spelled the end of the match right there. But
I really dug the finisher. It is a seamless combination of two moves that they do separately, and which is so much better than Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch's finisher, where Danny Burch just does the draping DDT that he normally does off of.
Lorcan pretty much acts as the ropes.
Yeah. So maybe they can turn that draping DDT and Oni or Lorcan can do something that he normally does as a signature move.
The only thing that really bugs me about this finishing move is the fact that I want to call it the mustache ride, but Joey Ryan's already got one called the mustache ride.
This is PG era WWE. Even they know not to call it the mustache ride. So, up next we have Radzi with an interview with Dave Mastiff about the fact that he is not only undefeated still, but he is essentially the powerhouse monster. He is the main monster. Mm-hmm. But Eddie Dennis takes exception to this.
Oh yeah, Eddie Dennis is still a little sore about his loss.
A little sore.
If anybody has been following this show from the beginning and watched all the Eddie Dennis programs like we have, or any kind of promos,
big bag of chips on his shoulder.
Not even a bag of chips, not even a plant of chips.
Just a big tube of Pringles just sitting right there.
He's pretty much like a company worth of chips.
Yeah. So Eddie Dennis blindsides Mastiff and just throws him around, throws him into the doors, throws him into the some table that's leaning up against a wall at a weird angle that it could fall over at any moment. I don't know what he threw him into, but
and pretty much tells him we're not. He's like, you think this is over? We're not done.
Well, the interviewer they needed help.
Yeah.
After Dennis was done. So this is not the end of this. I'm hoping Dennis gets a win out of the next match, and we move towards a rubber match. First long-term feud, I think.
What I'd really love to see is a cage match naturally, but I'm also selling a cage match high from NXT last night. If you get those two in that same steel cage, that's going to be an awesome match.
Well, we have the very first ever NXT UK pay-per-view in January.
Yeah.
I guess for Royal Rumble weekend. And so that's where you do it.
Yeah.
That's where you do the rubber match. You do it in a cage, or you do it with some not last man standing. I think that's too much for this feud. But definitely a cage, or falls count anywhere maybe.
I would think falls count anywhere, or actually would say last man standing match, because like they'd have to knock each other out.
Bring back the hardcore match, which is falls count anywhere.
Falls count
No
anywhere.
disqualification.
Pretty much a street fight, but.
Well, even the street fight usually has to end in pinfall or submission
Yeah, I
in
was
the
about
ring.
to say street fights got to end in the ring, which I always thought was kind of weird.
I like the no pinfall count anywhere stipulation on other matches. The falls count anywhere match by itself, where there is disqualification. Like, you can't use a chair, but you can pin them anywhere. Like, you can throw them off of things or throw them into things that are already there. But if you pick up a chair and hit them,
seems like kind
you're
of contradiction. Yeah.
But maybe I'd like to see him bring back the hardcore match, which is a no disqualification street fight, but you can also pin him anywhere in the arena. That I'd like to see.
I could actually see a tables match between them too.
Oh God, I hate tables matches because that just lends to fluky finishes. The Big Show stepping through a table and losing.
Oh, that and the Sheamus John Cena when Sheamus actually won the belt. So yeah.
So obviously we're getting another match. This feud isn't ending, but the show must go on. Next up, we get a video package, a brilliant video package for Pete Dunne. Goes all the way back to, get this, 577 days ago.
Yes.
At this point, 577, 79 maybe. By the time this video goes up on Friday, I assume 579. 579 days ago, he beat Tyler Bate for the WWE UK Men's Championship.
Yes.
Wow!
That's a hell of a title reign. But yeah, like
damn near fucking 2 years, bro.
Mm-hmm. And there's really, I'm racking my brain still
There's
about
nobody that can beat Pete Dunne.
exactly.
Right now.
There's no, like, we've seen a lot of wrestlers come through NXT UK so far.
There's nobody, because they don't have. I mean, Mastiff might be the closest thing they have, but they don't have any monsters that can come in and stop a guy that can wrestle like Pete Dunne.
No.
Everybody else is just regular sized and comes in and gets completely out wrestled, outpowered, just
Outshrugged.
Absolutely, by Pete Dunne. So who beats Pete Dunne right now?
Who is going to take the title out of his mouth?
My fear is that it's going to come on NXT programming and not NXT UK where it needs to happen. That's my fear, is that he's going to end up defending the NXT UK Championship against, like, Ricochet.
King Ricochet.
Or Adam Cole. Somebody like that is going to end up taking it from him. I would be okay if Keith Lee got it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if he is British, but I know he's mainly a British wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So if Keith Lee got it on NXT programming, I might be okay with that. It's a little bit of balance.
That would be a little bit of different transition for him to be put over there as an open challenge or something, and sure enough.
What I like about that is that it can seamlessly transition Keith Lee from NXT to NXT UK.
Yeah.
And we can see Keith Lee on a regular basis on that program.
Mm-hmm. Bob also said I wouldn't mind seeing King Ricochet if you went almost like into a King Booker kind of mode.
I really don't want to see an American. As much as I love the fact that he's from Paducah, Kentucky. We're from Kentucky. We're recording this in Kentucky. We're from Elizabethtown. But everybody from Kentucky always is billed as from Louisville.
Yeah.
Which we're 45 minutes south of Louisville. We could say we're from Louisville, but we don't. We're from Elizabethtown. And he doesn't say he's from Louisville or Lexington or anything like that.
Or Louisville.
Because he's from Paducah.
Yeah.
That's cool as shit. But I don't want to see him win the NXT UK Championship. Because he's from America, man. But I'd be okay with Keith Lee getting it.
Well, if he's going to be an American winning it, he needs to be a heel. Simple as that.
Well, isn't Pete Dunne's kind of a heel enough for you?
No, he's just an asshole.
He is the perfect tweener. And
Yes, he
He
is.
is the best wrestler on the brand. Nobody can beat him. So that is my fear, that he's going to end up losing the championship on NXT. But moving on, we've got just basically a recap of Toni Storm, but at the same time, they're promoting her to show up next week. I guess she's going to have a match.
Yep.
And so we get 3 matches announced for next week here. We get Toni Storm, and hopefully she'll get a job or she'll get a win back. We also get Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews versus Zach Gibson and James Drake, which they basically built up for earlier.
I see Gibson and Drake pulling out that one, just gaining more momentum towards the actual tournament or whatever they end up doing for the tag team belts. I see them pulling out the victory.
We also get an announcement for Travis Banks versus Joe Coffey next week, which I'm all for. I hope Joe Coffey wins. And we get to call this match here in just a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm betting on Joe Coffey. I guess you are too.
Yep.
But that leads us into the main event, which is the NXT UK Women's Championship match.
Mm-hmm.
That's Rhea Ripley defending against Isla Dawn.
The only wrestler with the RR that actually matters.
Rhea Ripley. Oh, I'm in love with Rhea Ripley, but I'm fascinated by Isla Dawn because she is a heel trapped in a face's promo.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's the only thing that's face for her is her promo. Because she wrestles like a heel with a lot of headlocks and ground and pound. And then even Rhea Ripley kind of came back with some explosive moves to get the crowd pumped, like a face would.
Mm-hmm.
But then immediately Rhea Ripley goes into her own headlocks and shit.
Yeah, with Ripley, yeah, she's awesome at selling for one, and that's one of the main things that was going on towards the end of the match with her missing the shoulder tackle in the corner and just eating that turnbuckle post.
It looked like she separated her shoulder, man. Even the ref got over there like, "Are you okay?
Can you continue?"
Well, that's when he said it a little bit louder. He was like, "Oh, can you continue?" And she's like, "Yeah." But no, he was in there like,
initially,
what's your shoulder doing?
Initially, he was like, "Oh shit, you all right?"
I think normally the men usually catch themselves with their thigh on the top or the middle turnbuckle, and it looks like they put their shoulder into it because they're long enough. But the women can't really do that and look like they put their shoulder into it. So she whatever she was supposed to catch herself with, I think she missed and really put her shoulder in. But she survived.
Yep.
Definitely survived because she wins.
Yep.
I mean, she is just... I love Rhea Ripley. She is a badass.
And I'll go and say it because you mentioned it during the broadcast. The look of surprise on Isla Dawn's face right after when she pretty much knew she was screwed. Right at the end when she got reversed, it was all over with.
Yeah, so she goes to whip Rhea Ripley off of the ropes, and Rhea Ripley holds on. And so she holds on to Rhea Ripley's arm and goes to kick her in the head. Well, Ripley ducks, and that's where she gets her into the setup for the riptide. And the look on Isla Dawn's face is like, "Oh, I just fucked up.
Yes,
Should not have thrown that kick." Because she gets put in the riptide, and 1, 2, 3.
The frustration with Isla Dawn initially started right after she kicked out, Rhea Ripley kicked out of her finisher, which nobody has kicked out of. All 3 of Isla Dawn's.
Yeah, all 3 of. Well, other than the match she lost in the tournament.
Yeah, but I'm talking about just NXT. Yeah.
Yeah. But Rhea Ripley just looked badass. Just down to that. She
looks like a champion.
She counters this weird fumbled, probably just mostly botched roll-up attempt by Isla Dawn into that inverted cloverleaf. That inverted cloverleaf is just awesome looking. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, because it's just the same move backwards, but...
I think with her, it's the fact that she's a little bit taller than the other female competitors, for one, so there's that extension to it. Plus the fact that they kind of bow out a little bit, so it almost looks like a reverse Walls of Jericho kind of thing too. With the
almost. Well, the way they bow out is the way that they're supposed to bend when you've got them in a clover leaf.
Yeah.
So,
but it just looked masterful. So.
yeah, it really does. But yeah, she wins with the Riptide, and she's going to move on to the next challenger. I don't see anybody in the women's division that can meet the challenge, at least not in NXT UK right now.
Not yet, no.
But you posed the question to me, if Rhea Ripley met Shayna Baszler right now, who wins? As much as it pains me to say it, Baszler.
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
It would still be a hell of a match, though.
It'd be a hell of a match. I love Rhea Ripley. But yeah, Shayna Baszler right now. So the NXT brand definitely looks better right now in comparison. And I don't know if it's because they've got more size. But if just thinking about Dozovic himself, I mean, kind of proves, yeah, they've got the size advantage.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to NXT UK getting new talent.
Yes.
Some people that can come in and look like they're going to be able to beat the champs. Because right now we've got Pete Dunne and we've got Rhea Ripley that look like there's nobody. Yeah, there's nobody in the division that can beat them.
They can hold. They can hold on to almost like Bruno Sammartino proportions with these belts.
Well, the closest thing you had was Toni Storm, and she lost in the finals.
Yeah.
And there you go. Not only did she lose, but she got injured by Rhea Ripley and sent packing for a few weeks.
I think it's what we're going to end up doing is like start getting more people through Progress and everything else. So
yeah, they got to get some bigger ladies and definitely got to get some bigger dudes.
But speaking of what's in your hand right now,
you mean a spot of tea?
Yes, we have a rating system on this show as we do on both of our shows. But for this one, we do 5 spots of tea.
5 spots of tea.
So, 5 spots. How would you rate this main event?
Well, the fact that it's the first ever women's championship match, the defense of the title, doesn't necessarily mean everything. But Isla Dawn is probably the top contender as far as looks goes. And that's probably why they built her up as a babyface, is because her look is so unique that they can make her look like a credible opponent, but really, she wasn't credible. So I didn't, at any point before, during the match, think that Isla Dawn was going to win the championship. No. So that brings it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was a good match. It was better than average. 3 1/4.
I'm going to go with you on that one and go with 3 1/4 as well for that kind of same reason. The fact that we went into this match knowing full well that Isla Dawn was not going to win. Like, we had our first 5-star match last night with the
Steel it doesn't even compare.
And but the reason another reason why I got 5 stars is the fact that we didn't know who was going to win. It could have gone either way with Aleister Black.
Well, to be fair, the feuds going on between the trio of Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa have been going on multiple times over as long as the entire NXT UK show has been on the air.
Yes.
We're only 17 episodes in, and many of those have been double episodes per week.
Yes.
So there's not been too much time to build feuds, let alone the probably 2 weeks we got, or at least 2 episodes of build for just this championship match. So there's a difference there.
Yeah, but I'm also saying it's the fact that, like, I couldn't fully invest myself in this match because at this point, yes, I like Isla Dawn, but at the same time, do I see her being Rhea Ripley? No. I saw it being a great match. I saw it being very physical, and I saw her naturally at least kicking out once of like Isla Dawn's finisher, or at least reversing it, and that's exactly what happened. She ended up kicking out of it.
Oh my God! Just that alone, she kicked out of Isla Dawn's finisher, and like I've said before, that finisher needs a name.
Yes.
And I think I mentioned during the match, the only time she's not gonna successfully use that move for a pinfall on Rhea Ripley until it has a name.
Yes.
Until it has a name, Rhea Ripley's going to kick out every time.
The announcers have to be able to shout something 3 times in a row.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So I should be biased because it's Rhea Ripley. All of her matches should be 4 stars or better, but I'm going to give it 3 1/4. It was better than average. It entertained me, but I don't know. Isla Dawn just It's so confusing because she wrestles and she looks like a heel, but she's supposed to be a babyface.
Yeah.
But the only thing about her that's babyface are her promos. Anyway, she's got some nice undercleavage though. I think it's the first. That's a first for me during this match. It's the first time I've ever seen undercleavage. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the match. You'll know what I'm talking about. Undercleavage for the main event. So that tells you about this show. It was a good show.
Yeah. It was,
I'd watch it again.
Number 17.
No, I wouldn't watch
yeah,
it.
it was.
Not twice, but definitely would watch it again if I hadn't watched it the first time.
Yeah, it rounded out nicely.
So that brings us to the conclusion of this NXT party for the NXT UK episode number 17. We will be right up next with episode number 18's review, but first we got to watch it, so we're going to sign off here. If you'd like to be... I think we're going to start doing this here now. I'll find a way to hang the flag behind the TV. That way, if you'd like to be on an episode of NXT Party with
on
us...
this huge television.
On the huge screen. We'd love to have you on. All you got to do is get a hold of me or the man, Jerry, here. You can contact me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's Stefan. Or if you just want to go on Twitter and find me, it's Stefan R. Osborne, Osborne.
And for me, it's No DQ General. Or you could also find me.
Well, you can find both of us. He posts a lot more than I do, but
on Facebook we have a group called Armbar, all caps ARMBAR exclamation point. And if you want to join up, just hit one of us up and we'll get you in.
Or if you don't have Facebook, you don't have Twitter, just leave a comment down in the comment section of the video and let us know how we can get a hold of you, and we'll figure out a way for you to do the NXT party with us.
Also, if you think of anybody, like if you have anything to throw in about what we've discussed, like do you have an idea of who Pete Dunne's next opponent should be, or somebody that they could bring in?
More to the point, who can beat Pete Dunne and who can beat Rhea Ripley? Leave that in the comments. Let us know who you think can legitimately beat Pete Dunne, and I'm going to limit this to NXT UK roster only. NXT UK roster only. Who can beat Pete Dunne? Who can beat Rhea Ripley? Leave that down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Until next time, though, I am, of course, the Rated R reviewer, Stefan Osborne. He is Jerry Slaughter, the General. And we'll see you NXT time. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the NXT Party. I am, of course, the Rated R reviewer, Stefan Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen.
And tonight we are reviewing NXT UK episode number 18. And god damn, Jerry, can you believe it's been 18 episodes?
18. We've been watching double episodes for every night, but yeah, it's been a whirlwind so far.
10 or 11 weeks. We got in on the ground floor, and I am proud of that. I'm proud to say that I watch NXT UK. I am generally entertained by this show. There are times where I feel like falling asleep, mostly because by the time I see the second episode every week,
it's late.
Like 3 or 4 in the morning. But I power through, and I power through for a reason, because I am looking forward to the day where we get one episode a week. Mm-hmm. One episode of NXT, one episode of NXT UK. We can spread it out Wednesday and Thursday, and it won't be so bad. But until then, this is where we're at. We're doing a 3-parter episode, and thank God it's the last part. If you're still watching and have been watching from the beginning,
you're a trooper.
Thank you. You are a trooper. But let's get into this. We start off NXT UK episode number 18 with Toni Storm, the return of Toni Storm versus a jobber who I didn't remember. You remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Morgan.
Yep, she was in a tag match not too long ago. She got pinned, but yeah,
I might remember if she had won, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely had to have been a tag match. I would have remembered a singles match.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's pinfall fodder for Toni Storm's return. But name drop alert, she was trained by Paige.
Yep. Not enough credibility to win the match, though, but it gave her a little bit of hope there for like 5, maybe 6 seconds after Nigel said it.
I mean, she looked okay. At no point did she look dominant. At no point did she look like she stood a chance of beating Toni Storm. And she did not. Tony Storm with the Storm Zero for the pinfall.
Er,
In a fairly quick match.
I was about to say, earlier in the match, she got her into the Native American deathlock.
Yes.
Yes, and
A really brutal one.
Oh,
And
she added the headlock into it, which I even thought looked more like a choke than anything else.
yeah, she almost had her forearm around her throat.
Yes.
But Morgan inched her way and literally inched her way to the bottom rope. She looked like a baby face there. I was a little confused.
Yeah.
But eventually, Storm Zero, pinfall 1, 2,
Well,
3. Tony Storm wins her return.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of the match, we also had the handshake between you two, or at least it was a quick one. They did a quick
I didn't even notice.
Oh, they did a quick
To be
handshake right at the beginning of the match, kind of like the pole. Yeah.
I like Tony Storm, but I love Rhea Ripley, so I could easily skip from this to one of the better video packages that I have seen out of NXT UK.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because of the way they did it, but because of the content and the meaningfulness of the content, because this was a video package for Gallus.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this earlier. Gallus, to me, is the one constant. This is the best thing that NXT UK has done so far. They have spent the entirety, from the beginning, the first 4 episodes of NXT UK were building Gallus.
At least building the coffees, and then Wolfgang getting thrown into the mix.
And for several weeks, they were standing tall at the end of every episode. I mean, Gallus is a constant. They are in the middle of half of the feuds on the show. Half of the people on the show are feuding with them in some form or fashion. They're having matches with them. Gallus is great, and this promo was great. I'm really looking forward to one of the either the tag team of Mark Coffey and Wolfgang getting the tag team championships, or Joe Coffey, I guess, defeating Pete Dunne, which seems impossible, but somebody in Gallus needs to have some gold soon, and this is going to be legit.
Well, I love the fact that also in that promo we actually got to find out what Gallus actually means. And it's
we heard that weeks and weeks ago.
Well, we probably did, but I don't remember it.
Oh, okay.
Self-confident.
Yeah, it's an old not Scottish, Gaelic term that means self-confident or bold, but sort of in a bad way and kind of a mischievous way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it totally fits them. They are Gallus. So next we have a tag match. Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews versus Zach Gibson and James Drake. And these two look like a tag team. They have matching tights.
Yes! That's what sold me on it. Right from the get-go, is the fact they have matching tights. Friends in similar tights. Those are always my favorite kind of tag teams.
I have a lot of notes for this match, most of which involve Mark Andrews, because he is just great.
I even told Stefan I'm guilty of this. I'm a Andrews fan now.
He's despite Morgan Webster being named Flash, Mark Andrews is flashy. He's both flashy and innovative. He's flitovative.
Yeah.
That's a terrible word.
Whereas, Flash Morgan Webster doesn't look like he really has a lot of impact with his moves in any way, shape, or form. You have the aerial works of Mandrews that actually looks impactful, but it also looks almost picture perfect every time as well. So,
well, he works well with Flash Morgan Webster. I think this is their second or third time tagging together.
Mm-hmm.
The second time we saw, the first note I've got is this double move that they do. They do a double hip toss to put, I can't remember who it was, down, probably Drake, but Flash Morgan goes for what we call an 072.
Yeah.
Because it's a 270 senton, but he does it from in front, so he does it like an inverted, like the 054 is for a 450.
Yeah.
But standing. So an 072, and at the same time, Mandrews is going for a moonsault, standing moonsault.
Which Vic Joseph, or as Nigel McGuinness called it, shooting star press, even though it's just a moonsault.
No, he called the moonsault. He said a standing moonsault, standing shooting star press, and I'm like, that wasn't a shooting star press. It was a flipping senton at best, a reverse.
Yes.
But anyway, so the next note I have is about the Gibson distracting Flash with the wrist tape, because even commentary called him out on that. Why is Zach Gibson taking off his wrist tape? And he took it off so he could ball it up, and when Flash went up to the top rope, he throws it at him, gets Flash's attention, so that Drake can knock him off the corner, out to the outside.
That's the thing, though. I thought it was going to be more used for choking or something else in that manner, but no, it was just balled up and thrown. I think that's the first time I've ever seen anything like that happen. You might as well have just grabbed a cup of soda or something from a kid in the crowd and just threw it at him.
Now, I tell you, speaking of the crowd, there probably was several episodes in the beginning in a row. Probably half of the first episodes that we did. I've got notes about the crowd everywhere.
Especially the corn exchange.
Because they're so vocal. Oh, yeah, especially the corn exchange.
Yeah.
In this case, I actually finally made a note about the crowd again because they were so vocal with the shoes off. If you hate Gibson, shoes off.
Yes.
If you hate Gibson, shoes off. And everybody's got their shoes up. And Nigel McGuinness makes up for the fact that he called the senton a shooting star press. He says it's getting really smelly in here. He's going to need some smelling salts. And I imagine everybody's got at least one shoe off. Yeah, it's probably getting smelly around the area.
He just punked out the entire crowd. It was just great.
So yeah, they work over Flash in the typical heel tag team fashion, and eventually Flash, he kicks Drake off of him, kicks him right into Gibson, so it kind of takes both of them out at the same time. He gets the hot tag to Mandrews, and Mandrews comes in, and again, like a bat out of hell, just taking everybody out. He leapfrog Hurricane Rana's into the ring, takes out Gibson, and then he goes off the ropes, and Gibson and Drake go to do a double clothesline. He just slides up underneath it, jumps back up, and does a double Pele kick to both of them. And that was fucking cool as fuck. And let's see, what else we got? The finish was great. Just the sequence of it for the bad guys, for Gibson and Drake. Okay, so you've got Flash Morgan, I believe it was Mark Andrews. Okay, so he's on the corner. He's actually in their corner. He's on the middle rope. And Gibson knocks him off. But not in, like, knocks him off to where he falls. His legs go back towards the actual turnbuckle. Mm-hmm. And he gets caught up in there. And Gibson holds him up so that Drake can do a running drop kick. So he gets a running drop kick in. And then Gibson does a code breaker.
Yeah, it's pretty much grit your
Draping
teeth.
Code breaker.
It was grit your teeth, and then the
Ticket to Ride.
Ticket to Ride. Yeah.
And then we had a springboard reverse Rana by Flash Morgan Webster. He actually got a near fall off of this, but he goes for this tornado DDT while Mandrews is up on the top rope in their corner, like they're going to go for a tag team move. But Gibson actually catches him halfway through the tornado part of it, and he throws him into Mandrews, knocks him off the top rope. And then, let's see, double stun dog millionaire. How did that come about?
Oh, shortly after that spot, Drake and Gibson tried to go for a double suplex onto Mandrew, and he nailed him with that. Because I even called for it.
How does that even look? How does that work?
I even called him, like, don't try to suplex Mandrews, or all you're going to get is the stun dog millionaire. And
well, you were wondering who he was going to put it on. You're like, surely the only person he's going to nail the stun dog to, if he does, is going to be Drake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Why Drake? And it wasn't just Drake, it was both of them at the same time. And I don't know how you pull that off, but he did it seamlessly, and it looked cool.
Yep.
And I keep calling for the ending of this match, but it just keeps going on, because Fabian Eichner comes out.
Yeah.
While Flash is on the outside and the ref is distracted on the other side of the ring. He comes out, and I believe he throws Flash Morgan into the steps.
Yep.
And then he's going to go for that running knee to the side of the head while he's leaning into the steps. And Mandrews actually does a suicide dive outside to block him from landing the knee. So he successfully interferes in this match without getting caught. And Mandrews comes up off of that, and he goes for a shooting star press. Problem here is he doesn't know that Drake made a tag into Gibson. So he hits the shooting star on Drake, goes for the pinfall, doesn't get it. Immediately, Gibson picks him up out of the pinfall into the Shankly gates.
Just into the Shankly gates.
Straight into the Shankly gates, and it doesn't take more than a few seconds, and Mandrews is tapping.
I didn't even notice that Mandrews' arm was actually bandaged up in that match until that moment. And, like, sure...
It mattered.
I don't know. But at the same time, it told the tale, and that was the end of that match.
Yeah, they didn't really work over his arm as far as I could tell. He was too Mexican jumping bean throughout the whole fucking match. When Mandrews was in there, he was fucking everywhere at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm digging Mandrews. I'm just he's too much of a baby face for me. Maybe I just have a problem with baby faces for all different reasons.
You know me, I'm a full-on heel person, but if there's if there's a face that can get away with, either just being themselves or everything just seems natural coming out of them, I'm okay with that. So
I see him being the Johnny Gargano of NXT UK.
Yeah.
Before the heel turn. So next up we have, we're right into another match. That doesn't happen very often where there's not a promo or something in between. I'm sure there's probably a commercial. But
the Battle of the Jobber Women.
Battle of the Jobber Women. Two women who have no wins yet on NXT UK. We've got Killer Kelly versus Nina Samuels. So who the hell's going to win? For me, personally, the battle here was between entrance music.
Yeah.
Because Killer Kelly has got this badass, Rammstein-esque, heavy rock metal music that just she's perfect with. She's got all her moves down to the flip of her hood off of her head to the music. And then we have Nina Samuels come out to this just chillaxing lounge rock,
very Sade without the vocals,
like 311 without the reggae,
Yeah,
just very chillaxing music. But in all fairness, it was a decent match for what it was. I guess it's just to finally start bringing one of them up. Or maybe they're just building up a jobber with 1 or 2 wins so they can feed her to Rhea Ripley later in a non-title match just to make Rhea look better, which I'm cool with. I'm fine with that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So there's a spot here. Let's see. Samuels counters the Fisherman Suplex. This is the end of the match. That's the only note I have.
Yeah.
Okay, so Killer Kelly goes for this Fisherman Suplex. And Samuels counters by grabbing her pigtail.
Yes.
It's this braid down the side of... She's got a couple of them. And wraps it up and just hauls her head into the turnbuckle. Just boom. Straight out of that, she picks her up into a fireman's carry, drops her DVD style, but over her leg. So a neck breaker over her knee.
Mm-hmm.
I think you called it the Welcome to Chicago, motherfucker.
Pretty much like a variation of that move, yes. One of CM Punk's go-tos for the longest time. So
in this case, Nina Samuels gets the win. I think actually Killer Kelly looked better.
I was about to say, that threw me though, because I thought for sure it'd be Killer Kelly.
She was getting worked over like she was preparing for a babyface return victory.
That's where I even said, like, the more punishment she's taking, the more likely it's going to be she's going to win this match. But sure enough, Nina Samuels wins, which I can't complain about because I love watching Nina wrestle. So. Yeah.
So next up, we've got Radzi. He's in the back talking with Fabian Eichner about basically a recap of when Mandrews and Flash Morgan Webster ended up double teaming on him and taking him out.
Yeah.
And Radzi's like, well, what about that? Because he beat Mandrews, but Flash got the roll-up win on him. So he's 50-50 with singles matches, but together they took him out. And he's like, well, screw them. They think they're going to, be in this tag team mix, I guess. There's still no tournament. There's still nothing to call here. But he's going to go find himself a partner.
Yep. And I think we can both agree who we think should be an ideal partner for him, and that's Joseph Connors.
Well, he did mention that he wants to do it to win the NXT Tag Team Championships, but I can't tell if he wants to do it more for that or more just so he can even the odds and beat up some more on Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews.
And Connors looks like an equal opportunity ass kicker.
Yeah, so I'm digging it either way.
Yep.
I don't think that they will be the inaugural tag team champions, but I hope he does pick Joseph Connors. Seems like a perfect fit, and let's say they make it to, if there is a tournament, let's say they make it to the semifinals and they get beat by Mustache Mountain. That way Mustache Mountain can get beat by Gallus.
Yes.
And that is our hopes and predictions. But up next we have the main event. Again, another hour with 4 matches. In this case, we got 2 women's matches, which was cool.
Yeah.
But 3 of these matches we knew about coming in. They are so gracious on NXT UK. They let us know what to look forward to next episode.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that. WWE is starting to do that, and hopefully they continue. Because, God forbid, you promote your next show to people that are already watching your show.
Yeah.
As opposed to promoting the same show that they're already watching. They do that occasionally. I hate that. It's stupid. Waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already watching, man. Just keep entertaining me, and you don't have to promote the match that's coming up in an hour and a half. So the main event sees Joe Coffey versus Travis Banks.
And this was exactly what we thought was going to be a really ridiculously hard-hitting match.
Yeah, but it was also a stepping stone for Joe towards Pete Dunne and the NXT Championship.
Yep, because that seemingly was his wall he had to overcome, was to beat Travis Banks first. So now I guess we can look forward to a match between the two, Joe Coffey and Pete Dunne, somewhere down the line.
Now, we were already expecting Joe Coffey to win this match.
Yes.
But storyline-wise, I look at it like the reason that Travis Banks looks like he might win is because he beat Wolfgang last week.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't beat him on his own.
No.
He beat him because Mustache Mountain came down and evened out the odds and ended up actually helping him by tripping up Wolfgang.
Yes.
In this case, we start off this match with Joe coming out by himself.
Yes.
And even commentary mentions that that's odd. And the fact that they mentioned that he was by himself, I think lends to the odds that the rest of Gallus is not going to come out and interfere in this match even later.
I wasn't expecting him to. It was like one of those weird moments where I'm like, okay, they're not following him out.
Well, if he's by himself, it doesn't give Mustache Mountain a reason to come out to even the odds and possibly interfere and cost him the victory.
Plus, when he did get the victory, or if he did get the victory,
it might be tainted.
Yes.
So
it'd make him look a little less strong as a possible match between with him and Pete Dunne.
We have Joe Coffey and Travis Banks one-on-one in a match that I have half a page of notes for. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
Just this thing starts off just a strike battle. And I realized early on, Joe Coffey must be a lefty. He's either ambidextrous or he's a southpaw. But Banks ends up drop-kicking him into the corner, and Joe rolls to the outside. And this starts a little bit of a back and forth outside the ring. Goes all the way around the ring. Eventually, Joe gets Coffey in a big swing, but swings him into the barricade.
Joe gets Banks.
Yes, I'm sorry. Joe gets Banks.
Yes.
It was later in the match that we suggested Joe needed some coffee.
Yes.
But this match was 14 minutes long, I think.
Yeah. And it was nonstop. There was like a lot of punishment being dealt out by both guys, especially the kicks from Banks. I see why they call him the Kiwi Buzzsaw, because the kicks he was laying in on them,
oh yeah,
they're just vicious.
All different kinds, drop kicks. At one point, he does this jumping knee into Joe's face, and I swear he knocked out his Invisalign.
Yes, it's something flew out of there. I'm sorry to think it is the embodiment of taste.
I don't.
His taste may have literally been knocked out.
I don't know, but the way it fell and bounced, like it was something solid. And even Nigel and Vic, they were like, maybe it's some teeth.
They talked about it for a good 2 minutes straight.
Just what the hell came out of his mouth? I don't think it was gum, but I think maybe it was an Invisalign.
Maybe a wisdom tooth. Because that was a hard kick.
Hard hit. But back to the beginning of the match, after that big swing into the barricade, this is where Coffey takes over. Because he just starts brutalizing Banks's shoulder.
Yep.
Because he's got the target on it. He's got that tape, that trainer's tape or whatever. And most of the match ends up being Coffey working on Banks's shoulder. And it sets up for the end perfectly. So there's a couple of different stories going on here, other than just the fact that there's heat between the two of them, because they're the ones, well, Gallus being, they're the ones that took out Banks when he was supposed to originally debut.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, what else we got going on in this match? Yeah, talk about the jumping knee. Joe does this helicopter belly to belly.
Yeah.
This big swing belly to belly into an overhead suplex. Just looked awesome. Never seen that before.
To me, it didn't really look that great. But it's also, like, it just kind of seemed like a kid spinning around in a field with his teddy bear.
Well, Banks ends up lighting up Joe with a bunch of these double stomps. First he counters this superplex, which we knew he was going to counter anyway because he's got his feet on the inside of the corner. But he counters a superplex, does a double stomp to Joe's back when Joe's like sitting up on hands and knees. And then he's got Joe sitting in the corner, runs into the corner, jumps off of the middle turnbuckle, and without holding on to the top ropes, does a cardiac arrest.
Yes.
That just looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And then gets this Fisherman's Olympic Slam right after that for a near fall. Got a missile Lope, suicide dive through the middle and bottom rope.
Went for it the first time and got uppercutted. Second time he went for it, he got it.
He nailed it hard. In fact, comes off he rolls him back in the ring. Joe, that is, rolls Joe back in the ring. Comes off with a double stomp again to the back for a near fall. But eventually Joe just comes back. He counters I think a run into the ropes and then does this running headbutt to the midsection. Just looks like, it looks so wicked that it looks like it would hurt Joe's neck.
Yes.
Like, I'd be worried about doing that too damn often. But he knocks him into the corner, and then while he's stumbling out of the corner, Joe goes for that discus lariat, which we will get to the name in a moment. Goes for that discus lariat, gets blocked. So Banks blocks it, double arm blocks it, but that hurts his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as he grabs his shoulder, Coffey turns around. He was originally going for a right-handed, but I've noticed he's a lefty.
Yeah.
He turns around right after the block into a left-handed lariat. Takes him down. 1, 2, 3, just as we said. Joe gets the win. The name of this move is the Aw-Raw Best for the Bells. A-W-R-A, Best, F-U-R for T-H-A, the Bells. Bells spelled normally. Wow. Both Vic and Nigel said the name of this move. I think Vic said it when he did it, and then Nigel said it at the replay. And I still had to look it up on Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Wikipedia had it. Some other site.
I'm thinking it's loosely translated "for whom the bell tolls." That's what it looks like to me.
The show ended with, I think, Nigel McGuinness saying and basically talking to Pete Dunne. He says, "If you're Pete Dunne, ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for you."
Yes.
So yes, I believe Joe Coffey's next match hopefully will be against Pete Dunne on NXT UK, and we will get to see Pete Dunne on the show. He's starting to feel like Brock Lesnar as little as he shows up. He really only shows up for title matches.
Yeah. Or he did show up to help out Mustache Mountain that one time.
Yeah, like episode 2.
Yeah.
And I think in the same building he had a title match there in the next episode.
Yeah. So, while you have that out...
Well, I've got out the tea.
Yep. We're going to go ahead and do our rating system for the main event of the night. And that's the 5 spots of tea. So...
For this main event, I counted, at least 3 different stories they told.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, one of them was the target on Banks' shoulder. But it's a classic story, an injury in the ring. And they told the shit out of that story.
Yes.
Joe worked this was a real... I'm going to call this 4 stars even. I was going to say 3 1/4, but it came off of a really good show. I'm gonna call this 4 even. I'm
gonna go ahead and agree with you again this time around too, because that match what really sold me on it was the fact that there was no outside interference at all. They let the two of them tell their story versus having anybody interfere or anybody interject.
Absolutely.
It has Joe coming out of the match looking even stronger and possibly a competition for Pete Dunne.
Yeah, no fucky finish, no nothing. I mean, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but was absolutely entertaining.
There wasn't a lot of heel tactics on Joe Coffey's part.
14-minute match did not feel like 14 minutes.
No, it flew. It really did.
Felt like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I was worried about it because this is the second show, and it is really late. It must be 4 or 5 in the morning right now. So, luckily I don't have to work tomorrow. But, I give it 4 stars. Yeah, I want to let everybody out there know, speaking of not working tomorrow, I have the next 12 days off. The gentleman here has 10 days off, or 11 after tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so next week's episode of NXT, or What's NXT, excuse me. Mm-hmm. Next week's episodes of What's NXT and the NXT party should actually all get recorded on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we might be able to get What's NXT up on Wednesday and NXT party up on Thursday. Maybe everything up on Wednesday if we can get it done early enough. All depends on what time Bossman goes to bed. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, we'd like to invite you to join us immediately following your holidays for a spot of NXT and some review of NXT itself. But until then, I am, of course, the Rated R reviewer, Stephen Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter. And we'll see you NXT time.
Tally ho.